What would you do if a power-hungry tyrant and her goons smashed your dreams to pieces, thinking they could break you too? That's exactly what happened to me, standing in the wreckage of my little clothing store, heart hammering like a battle drum. My name's Elise Harper, and this is the story of how I turned their arrogance to dust and made a whole town rethink what it means to fight back. It was a crisp morning in Willow Creek, the kind where sunlight spills over cobblestone sidewalks and makes everything feel possible. I unlocked the door to my boutique, Harper's Haven, the bell above jingling like a promise of peace. Inside, it smelled of cedar and fresh cotton, racks of dresses and handmade necklaces catching the light just right. This place was my sanctuary, a far cry from the life I'd left behind, nights spent training elite soldiers in hand-to-hand combat, barking orders in sweaty gyms under flickering lights. Back then I taught warriors how to serve EYV with nothing but instinct. Now, I taught myself patience, folding scarves, helping moms pick out gifts, listening to the quiet pulse of a town suffocating under the Willow Creek HOA's iron grip. Outside, I caught a glimpse of a woman struggling to tape a festival poster to a lamp post, her hands shaking as a clipboard-toting man loomed over her, pointing sharply. Typical. The HOA had their claws in everything: hedge heights, door colors, even the air we breathed. I turned away, refusing to let their nonsense poison my morning. But trouble, it turns out, doesn't wait for an invitation. The bell rang again, sharp and angry, as the door slammed open. In stormed Claudia Wentworth, the HOA's self-anointed queen, her platinum hair sprayed stiff as a helmet, lips painted a VY Sias red. Flanked by two burly guys in HOA polos, she looked like she owned the street itself. "You must be Elise Harper," she said, her voice sweet as poison. "We have concerns." I set a scarf down, slow and deliberate, meeting her gaze. "State your business." Claudia's brow arched. "Your store," she sneered, "doesn't fit our community's aesthetic. It's disruptive." One of her enforcers started snapping photos, circling like a vulture. My fist clenched STB, but I kept my voice steady. "This building's been here longer than your HOA. You don't own me." Her smile tightened. "Standards evolve, dear. Sign this transfer agreement, sell to someone who aligns with Willow Creek's VY Shaun." She slapped a folder onto my counter, papers gleaming like a predator's teeth. I didn't even glance at it. "I don't sell under threats," I said, voice hard as steel. "And I don't bow to bullies." Claudia's eyes flashed. "Refusal has consequences," she hissed. "Fines. Investigations." She leaned closer, venom dripping. I stepped forward, cutting her off. "You come into my store, insult me, threaten me? You picked the wrong woman." For a split second, doubt flickered in her eyes, but she masked it fast, storming out with her goons trailing like shadows. The bell jangled violently as the door slammed. I stood there, pulse racing, not with fear but with fury. This wasn't just a threat, it was war. And I'd never lost a war. Barely a minute passed before the door crashed open again. Claudia was back, no pretense left, her face twisted with rage. "You had your chance," she spat. Before I could speak, one enforcer, a thick-necked brute, tripped a rack of dresses from the wall, silk and lace crashing to the floor. "What the hell are you doing?" I roared, vaulting over the counter to block them. The second enforcer swept the display table clean, jewelry shattering on the tile. I moved fast, planting myself between them and my store's heart. "Touch one more thing," I growled, "and I'll bury you." Claudia's lips curled. "Defiance has consequences. Sometimes physical ones." The big enforcer lunged, aiming to shove me against the wall. I pivoted, grabbed his wrist, and twisted his arm into a brutal lock. He dropped to one knee, grunting in pain. Claudia gasped, her plan unraveling. "You're insane!" she shrieked. "You'll be arrested!" I tightened the hold, making him whimper. "You're trespassing. You're vandalizing. You forgot who you're dealing with." The second enforcer froze, caught between fight and flight. My stare pinned him, a silent promise of pain. Claudia scrambled for her phone, backing toward the door. You'll regret this, she spat. No, Claudia, I said, stepping forward, my shadow swallowing her. Panel, the bell jingled weakly as they fled. I stood amidst the wreckage-torn fabrics, broken shelves, adrenaline burning like wildfire. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Claudia didn't waste time. She stormed back, screeching, Get her! The leaner enforcer charged, dodging his downed partner. I sidestepped, snatched his wrist, and drove my knee into his gut. He crumpled, gasping, and I swept his legs, pinning him with a boot on his back. Stay down, I snarled. Claudia screeched. You stupid cow! You assaulted HOA agents! You're ruined! She fumbled in her back phone, weapon didn't matter. I closed the distance in 2 strides, wrenched her arm, and twisted her wrist behind her back. She yelped, toppling to her knees in a heap of designer fabric. The boutique went silent, save for her pathetic flailing. You're done, I whispered, voice lethal. You don't get to hide behind titles anymore. A crowd gathered outside, phones out, recording. Claudia thrashed. Let me go! I'll sue you! I pressed her wrist higher, forcing a cry. You broke the law the moment you stepped in here, I said, loud enough for the crowd. I shoved her away, letting her slump to the floor. The enforcers scrambled up, limping, and followed Claudia as she staggered out, clutching her wrist. This isn't over, she spat. I stepped forward. No, Claudia. You're finished. Sirens cut through the air, red and blue lights flashing across the broken windows. 2 deputies burst in, hands near their holsters. I raised my palms, calm but seething. I'm the one who called you, I said. Arrest them. I pointed at Claudia, hovering on the sidewalk, muttering to her goons. She attacked us, Claudia shrieked. Arrest her. Deputy Carter, the older one, narrowed his eyes. Let's hear both sides. My store was invaded, I said, voice cutting like a blade. My property was vandalized. I was assaulted. She ordered it. The younger deputy eyed the wreckage, then turned to Claudia. Did you have a warrant? We don't need one, Claudia snapped. The HOA has jurisdiction. I stepped forward. Over lawns, maybe. Not assault. The deputies exchanged a look. Carter motioned me to show the security footage. I pulled out a tablet, the video crystal clear, Claudia barging in, enforcers trashing everything, me only acting when attacked. Carter turned to Claudia, disgust in his voice. Looks clear to me. She paled. You can't. I'm the president of this community. I smiled, cold and sharp. No, Claudia. You're just a bully who thought she was above the law. Handcuffs snapped around her wrists, then the enforcers. As they shoved Claudia into the cruiser, she twisted, spitting venom. This isn't over. You'll pay. I met her glare, voice a low promise. You're about to find out who I am. The cruiser door slammed, muffling her screams. By evening, the video of Claudia's arrest was everywhere. Clips flooded social media, her screaming, my store in ruins, me standing tall. An emergency town meeting was called at the Willow Creek Community Center. I slipped on my old leather jacket and walked in, the room buzzing with fury. Residents waved HOA fines, violation notices, photos of Claudia's threats. The acting president, a weaselly guy named Victor Tate, tapped the microphone, voice cracking. Please remain civil. A woman stood, shaking a fine. You fined me for a garden! And you terrorized businesses! Shouts erupted. You lied about park access! You bullied seniors! I stepped to the mic, boots echoing. Victor flinched. You didn't just fail this town, I said, voice cold. You sold it for power. For control. Murmurs grew louder. Victor stammered. The HOA protects property values. I cut him off. Order isn't oppression. Leadership isn't fear. It's trust, something you broke. A teacher stood. I moved to disband the HOA leadership. A retired cop barked. Seconded. Hands shot up, the vote overwhelming. Victor tried to protest, but the crowd drowned him out. I blocked his path. Push this, and I'll audit every cent you've touched. He fled, the other board members scrambling after. The room erupted in applause, swelling into a roar. They chanted my name, asking me to lead. I raised my hands. This isn't about one person, I said. It's about all of us. Our homes. Our dignity. The ovation grew fiercer, but I stayed focused. Claudia was gone, but her rot lingered. This was just the start. Doubts crept in fast. In the empty community center, residents whispered, Without the HOA, who'll enforce anything? I stood, voice cutting through. If you think ousting Claudia was the hard part, you're wrong. Freedom's a responsibility. You want security? Earn it together, not by bowing to another bully. A skeptic scoffed. Who says you're in charge? I met his eyes. I'm not. I'm just reminding you what happens if you don't fight for yourselves. The warning hung heavy. Days later, we held a town hall, no titles, just neighbors with coffee and ideas. A carpenter offered to fix storefronts. The teacher planned kids' programs. I taught self-defense on the green, rebuilding confidence. Slowly, Willow Creek changed. We planted flowers, repainted playgrounds, held markets. No fines, no threats, just life, messy and real. Standing outside my restored boutique, I watched kids raise spikes, families laugh. A plaque by the door read, Saw freedom isn't fighting against something. It's fighting for each other. Saw. I touched it gently, joining the market crowd. Claudia's fear was gone, replaced by trust. Bullies thrive when good people stay quiet. But when one person stands, and others rise, that's when change begins. Willow Creek isn't perfect, but it's ours. And that's the greatest VY Tory of all.